I'm in the MOTIV video app, and I want to just go through some of the basic settings that I use. I use this microphone for a lot of different things. While it's not my only microphone, it is one that I use on the go frequently, whether it's for WGI drum lines or drum and bugle corps. I might use it for a jazz set. I use different mics for different kinds of percussion and drum things, but this is basically my on-the-go mic. So when I'm on the go, I will use this, even if it's for an interview or something like that. Now, the mic I'm actually recording this video with, I'm using a Shure MV7. It's my videocast podcast mic, but the video I'm making this on is the on-the-go. Let's jump right into the settings, because you see, we've got mic gain, we've got all the different modes, like what mode, what, limiter, compression, compressor, high-pass filter, left-right swap, and equalizer. And we want to know a little bit about how to get this going, specifically if we're using the MOTIV video app. Now, there's the MOTIV video app, which is, of course, doing audio and video, and then just the audio app if you want to do just audio alone. Kind of cool. I'll just cover the video one today to help you out a little bit. Now, for the Shure MV88, what we want to do is just talk about the basic patterns. We've got polar patterns, and I guess even before that, make sure we understand, okay, what's up with all the preset modes. Basically, it's this. So right now, I'm just on default flat. Let me go to speech mode. So if I go to speech mode, I'm currently on stereo mic. You see I can change from stereo. I can move it over to the next pattern, monocardioid. You can change all these things. It's really cool, and I'm going to come back and talk about all this stuff in just a moment. I mean, you can sit here and play with all kinds of things. It's really cool how you can change. I'm sitting here playing with it right now. What is it? What's it going to be? Is it going to be, do I want to change it to 60 degrees, 75? I can do all kinds of things, 120 degrees. Now, while yes, you can change all this stuff, let me go back to, bring it back in, flat mode, leave it at 60 here. So with speech, if you're using the speech preset, it's basically narrow stereo. It's going to reject background noise, equalization that basically emphasizes clarity, fullness, very gentle compression, and it sets all that stuff for you. So you see I have the limiter and light, high pass filters off, left right swap off, hit equalizer, nothing there. Now that's your speech mode, and if I want to go to the next one, you can see basically your singing mode. In singing mode, this is solo or group vocal performances, medium stereo width. It's real subtle equalization. I mean, it's, can add some richness, clarity, natural sound, that kind of thing. Limiter. Now, obviously, you can change. You could, turn off these other things. And I'm going to talk about those later, about why you would want to use them or not want to use them. But basically, just want to get comfortable with all the different modes. And remember, as I go back in speech mode, it's already, their preset already sets it at 33 dB on the mic gain. And then when you go from speech mode to, singing mode, you can see it's changing the gain to 22.5. And, you look at also the angle there, it's changed. In singing mode, we're going 60. Okay, got 60 degrees there. And, in your speech mode is 60. And you see it changes there. Your stereo, you get 75. So, and then you got the difference in gain in both of those as well. Now, when I go to flat, you see flat is, the mic gain is 19.5 on the mic gain. Flat mode, stereo, 90 degrees. And on flat mode, as you can see, this has changed now. The limiter's off, no high-pass filter, no compression, nothing. So as I'm kind of scrolling through and playing around with this, if I just go back even one step here, on my singing mode, I got mic gain 22.5, stereo 75 degrees, and the limiter, and I have light compression on. These are presets that comes programmed this way. So it can be kind of helpful when you're trying to figure all this stuff out. And of course, you can adjust these and save your own presets. if you like. Now let's go back to flat. Flat is 19.5 on the mic gain. I'm still using, I haven't changed any of the, the mics that I'm using. Right now, just getting into preset modes, but obviously deciding which polar pattern to pick, that's going to be important. So we'll make sure to get to that in just a minute. Okay, now let's say I go over to click on acoustic mode, and you see acoustic mode is 27 dB on the mic gain, 105 degrees. I'm still sticking with stereo for now. Limiters on, light compression, high pass filters off, no left right swap. We're not doing anything with the equalizer, at least not yet, or probably not in this video, but for another time possibly. And for me personally, I don't do a lot of stuff with the equalizer with this particular app. I like to do all that in post-production in Logic or Pro Tools. But you can see, the gain change here relative to the other ones, 27. You can see the degrees, 105. Limiter, like, the light compression. You can see the basic presets that come programmed in. Now, we go over here and we go, whoa, okay, we got band mode. So you see band mode 3 dB on the mic gain, 120 degrees. I mean, it's just getting wider, getting a bigger set. I'm thinking about all these modes are basically, they're designed for like the kind of setup that it's going to be, recording. So when you think of a band, like it needs to catch, more real estate there. So that's why we have 120 degrees on the stereo. You have limiter, it's on, and then you have medium compression, which you probably need in this setting, of course. High pass filter is off, no left right swap. I'm not worrying about equalization at this point. That's the basic for the modes. You're thinking like, if it's speech mode, you want that, that angle to be dialed into you. You don't want to be picking up all the other stuff around you, and when you're in singing mode, you might want a little bit more, just the nature of like singing and the voice and how sound works. Flat mode is pretty incredible because it opens it up a little bit more, but there's nothing else really on. You're just opening up, you're opening up a little bit on the angle, but not worried about, limiter, compressor, high pass filter, left right swap equalizer. But you can obviously modify any of these modes and, of course, create your own presets or variations, whether it be from a modification or from scratch. It's all good. Okay, so, yeah, we've kind of clicked through, a few, the different modes that we have here. I'm going to put it back to flat mode, and let's talk a little bit about what's the patterns? Like, how do I know? So if you're using, say, like band mode or speech mode, flat, acoustic, whatever, or you're using your own custom presets that you make and save, cool, that's awesome. But you want to know what all the different patterns do in relation to the modes, and you want to understand the modes, but you also want to understand, okay, well, which pattern should I be using? So let's say I go back to, flat mode, speech mode. For our purposes, I'll just stay on. I'll keep it on flat for a moment, and I'm just going to go through. So with the stereo, you're going to have like the front mic is on and the side mics are on. You're basically on this. You got the front mic and the left and the right side mics. So with stereo, you're getting everything. You're getting the front and the sides on. If I move over, if I can slide this here. So we go to monocardioid. With monocardioid, the front is going to be on, and that's it. The sides will actually be turned off. Now, this can be like, this can certainly be great for recording. It just really depends on like what you're trying to capture. So I think trying to figure out what you are trying to capture is going to help you determine which polar pattern that you want to be using. So maybe you do want to record, an interview in mono. Maybe you want to do it in stereo. You really kind of have to decide. And I think some of this depends on your experience with post-production and how much you want to do there. But you don't want to just do whatever. You want to make a decision. So I'll come back to some other things you could use this for. But when you're using monocardioid, it's the front's off and there's no sides. Okay, if I move over to mono bidirectional, what this does is it turns the front off, and you're going to have the sides on, the left and right of the microphone. All right. Okay, so then if I go to raw, mid, side, this is kind of cool because the front's on and the sides are on. And what happens with basically, if you want more post-processing flexibility, you want to use the raw mid-side setting. It basically, this records a signal. It's a 2-channel signal. Stereo image can be adjusted even further after tracks have been recorded. The left cardioid front, right bidirectional sides. You use the raw mid-side setting with audio recording applications. That they have a mid-side stereo matrix decoder, or you can manually decode. And Shure has an awesome video. I'm sure there's probably more than one, but you can kind of go through and do all that. So this can be the challenge, trying to figure out, well, which one do I want to use? And if I just go to speech mode and try to decide, what I want, and even in speech mode, as I can play around with things. We're trying to find. Let me go to speech, and even. So I'm trying to play around a little bit with it here as I move, and I want to talk more. All right, so I can move the slider. I'm trying to play with angles here, but you can see right now I'm just moving the mic gain. I can manually move it really, wherever I want it. Let me go back to flat. Okay, bring it back over. Okay, there we go. I was trying to do this a moment ago and it wouldn't let me, so okay, so right now I just put it back to flat, and I'm just gonna go to mic gain and do what I was doing a second ago, playing with the mic gain, taking it all the way through. You can see it goes all the way up to 36 if I wanted it to. Okay, I'm gonna reset that, go back to flat. Okay, now while I'm on stereo, I'm just gonna play using my finger just to kind of play with. I can go up to 60 degrees on stereo, and I can go all the way as wide as 135. Kind of cool, right? Okay, so I'm going to click around a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go back to flat. I go back to see singing, speech. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for a moment. And trying to decide what you want to use in terms of the mic. It's totally up to you. Whatever you're recording, whether you're recording music or you're recording interviews. You got to experiment and try different things. So I think if you want to record in mono, you're looking at mono. Let me bring this back. Sorry, let me fix this. I'm going to go back to put that one to 90. So if you for mono, record mono, it's just a single source. It's vocals. When you record mono, the benefit is basically less ambient noise, less environmental noise. It certainly can be helpful. You want to use monocardioid or mono bidirectional polar pattern, and you get all the audio. It's going to a single channel, and that can be helpful. When you record in stereo, I'm going to go back to, let's go flat, singing, got acoustic, band. But let's say I'm just doing a band in stereo. Keep watching out for that gain. You don't want to be too high on that. So with stereo, basically the MV88 barrel, it pivots forward on a hinge, rotates 45 degrees. The left and right are labeled to show stereo orientation of the microphone, which is very cool. The stereo image is accurate if the Shure logo is facing upward. Got to be careful about that. But when you're this is all like basic stuff. Some of the information I'm sharing with you today, I'm using my phone video to record a screen video on my phone, and I'm using my Shure MV7 plugged into my computer to record audio through an app. And on my computer screen, I'm just looking at a few notes from the Shure website, going through a few basic things. But stereo is great because it's getting everything left and right, and it's basically doing all the heavy lifting for you. So honestly, it really depends on what you're recording. You don't have to record interviews in mono. You can record interviews however you want. It really kind of depends. Are you inside? Are you outside? Is there wind? Is there any car sounds, birds, electrical interference, any kind of... It's all the things, you hear in recordings where you hear stuff and you're just like, you didn't know it was there while you're recording, but when you listen back, it's like everything just kind of pops out at you. So the more and more you record with audio and video, the more and more in your recordings you start to hear things like, oh, wow, I really need to like kind of dig into that a little bit more so I can reduce that or play around with different settings. So I think just some basic things that you can kind of think about. Let me show you the last things that you want to be careful of, and that's how to use limiter and compressor. So I'm going to leave it on band mode. We're going to go band mode, 3 dB. So the limiter, it's real simple. With the limiter, all you're doing is you toggle the limiter on to set an input threshold and prevent distortion from volume peaks in recording. And this is straight from like the Shure website. Look, the limiter helps so you're not getting distortion and clipping and just really bad, icky sounds. So I'm going to use a limiter when I'm recording like a band or like, drumline stuff, WGI stuff. It's not necessary to use a limiter if I'm recording myself or doing an interview or something like that. So if I keep this come down, you see the limiter's by default on for a band, and if it wasn't, I'd want to turn that on. Compression. So the compression, this can be a tricky thing. Sometimes you don't want to use compression. Now with compression, you got to remember you can do light, medium, or heavy in the video app here. So what the compression is going to do, it's going to take. It's like, imagine you got like these, you have soft sounds, medium sounds, low sounds. The compressor basically narrows the dynamic range. It takes quiet signals. The quiet signals are basically, they're boosted, and the loud signals are lowered. So it just basically takes anything that's like really quiet, it's going to raise it. Anything that's really loud, it's going to bring it down. It tries to just bring the window, it tries to bring it closer together. So it doesn't sound like if someone's talking really soft and all of a sudden it gets really loud, they try to bring that closer together. And that's what the compressor is going to do. But you got to be careful. You do too much of that and things might get out of whack depending on the environment and other things. Because depending on how you're using the compressor, EQ, limiter, all these combination of things, that there's other stuff that's happening around you that's also going to get like compressed as well. So all the other sounds. So you just want to try to keep in mind like the mic that you use, the setting, the polar pattern selection that you use, that determines which of the mics that we're going to be using here. Which sides, front, sides, and all that. Stereo versus non-stereo, and the presets are just the vanilla standards that actually work really great. But of course, you can modify those to your own liking, and you'll have to modify those based on, what you're doing. So I do recommend with the band, medium compression should work fine. Maybe there's an instance where you would need heavy. I guess that depends. Maybe if it was a marching band and you're up close, a band medium. Some of this is going to be distance related and which of the mics you're using. But you'd probably want to. You might want to have some compression in there. With multiple people talking, you might want to use compression. With a one-person interview, it might not be necessary, honestly, to use compression unless their voice is kind of all over the place, where they start like getting really loud and they're like super calm. I mean, I guess this can happen in like drama and acting and movies and skits. It all comes down to where what they're doing with their voice. So it's like you kind of have to know how your voice is or how they're gonna talk. But you wouldn't be hurting yourself if you used a limiter and maybe light compression on a lot of the vocal things that you do, and even for some of the band music stuff that you do. But you do want to experiment on this. So that's a little bit about that. Okay, so when to use, say, like a high-pass filter. So basically for the high-pass filter, as I'm clicking around my notes here, you can set it at 75 or 150, and it's helping just to to reduce any low-frequency noise. It can reduce wind noise, rumble. It can reduce all the clicking and clanking of somebody at their desk. It may not take it all out, but the high-pass filter just basically gets out some of the low frequency noise. And if the environment is like really noisy, you want to consider this using that high pass filter. So if it's set at 75, you're going to get 6 dB per octave cutoff. If it's set at 150, 150 would be like if you're doing video conferencing, it's going to take out that distracting background noise, and it will help enhance some clarity of the voice. So just kind of paying attention to, should I do, like, you may not need to use it at all. If you use no high pass frequency, basically it's just a more natural sound, and you get all the frequencies untouched. You got to remember, everything you do is going to change how it's going to sound like. So I try to only use what I need, because I want to be able to I want to open up Logic or Pro Tools, and I want to have full flexibility of making all the changes or edits, tweaks that I want to make in post-production. But the more you know about yourself or the people or groups or whatever you're recording, you may need to use some of this. If it's very windy outside or you're doing something in video conferencing, it's kind of important to know, okay, that I can set this at, I can set the high pass filter at 75, set it to 75 or set it to 150, and yeah, you're good to go. So, all right, a couple other things that I could tell you that if you were to need, like on the left-right channel swap. So basically for stereo recordings, use left-right swap to flip the left and right audio channels to match the stereo image to the video. So that's like when you're using video to record yourself. You can do that. So that's something that you may want to do. And with the equalizer, honestly, for me, I try not to use the equalizer. I have ran experiments. I do a lot of that in post-production, but you could use the equalizer. There are cases where it can work out really great, and you may be a pro and already do that. If you're a beginner, it's not like you can just, there's only some like really rare small little settings that you could use, but with using equalizer and something like this, you kind of already want to know like what you need to bring down or bring up. So a lot of that's just going to come from experience and playing around with the setting. But if you're new to doing it, I wouldn't worry about equalizing in the beginning. At least not in the recording. I would learn how to do that in post-production before you start doing that kind of stuff here. So, hey, I hope all this helps on how to use this a little bit more, and basically it's a basic explanation of some of the basically device features of the Shure MV88. Now, if I close out and I come over here, it's just got like I'm just like videoing nothing, but it's really cool because even as I do this, you got all these different really cool settings with, frames per second. I know I'm like recording like nothing. I'm just hanging out, recording, showing you features. But when you're looking at all this, it's such a cool app that you can use because you can adjust the frames per second. And I can just here touching the button and adjust what do I want my frames. Do I want 24? Do I want 25? Do I want 30, 50, 60? And then I go to my video resolution. Do I want 4K? I got 720 on the video resolution. I got 1080p. I got 4K. This is awesome. 48K HZ. Do I want 44.1, 48? For audio only, 44.1 is fine. If you're doing video, I'd go with 48. 48K HZ is pretty much the standard. You can sit here and click all the different audio, where AAC 96, AAC 128, AAC 256, wave. I just stick with the standard wave. But, you do have options there. And, I come up and, I can change the video, where I can do, oh my goodness, so I got my stuff over here. I'm just playing around. I'm just in my office having a good time showing you some stuff. See, ultra wide. See all this stuff. Isn't it cool? Telly. It really just kind of depends on, on what you're doing here. You can sit here and you can zoom in, zoom out, that kind of thing. Yeah. So now this video is done from the iPhone. I could actually change this so that it's horizontal, but because I'm screen recording from the phone and with the way the app's set up, it thought it'd be a little bit easier if I just did this in straight up vertical. So the video that I'm going to post up will be mixed, probably some vertical and horizontal all together, but I'm hoping this will help out a little bit. It basically covers all the basics. And, if I come out of here, I can go back and check out, even if I just go to the MOTIV audio app, really cool. I better charge my battery, right? You can see where in here there's a place where I can, preset, I can save a preset. I'm not going to make a preset today, maybe later, but I can save presets in the audio app. Got all the same stuff, limiter, high pass filter, left right swap, equalizer. Not going to go on recording today, maybe another day I'll focus on some of that stuff. But you see you got your your audio and video app, and if you're doing audio alone, just do everything from the audio app. If you're doing audio and video, of course, video is going to have audio, then you can do it from there. But I'm going to get out of here, and yeah, that's really it. Cool. Hey, hope all this was fun and it helps. That's the Shure MV88 Plus, and I think we have a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.